It was supposed to be the happiest phase of her life. Lara, a young, ambitious woman raised by a single mother in a dusty Lagos suburb, had finally found what every woman in her circle secretly prayed for: a man who loved her, respected her, and above all, had the kind of money that could rewrite her entire destiny. But one careless moment, one act of pride and misplaced anger, would pull her world from beneath her feet. She thought it was just an old woman begging for respect. What she didn't know was that the woman she slapped in public was the mother of the man she was about to marry. And this wasn't just any man. He was one of Africa's youngest billionaires. The late afternoon sun beat down on the busy Lekki shopping complex as Lara adjusted her designer shades and strutted toward the cafe patio. She looked expensive. Imported wig, flawless makeup, and a gold-plated iPhone in her manicured hand. It was hard to imagine that just 5 years ago, she was selling Puff Puff outside a bus park with her mother. Now, Lara's life was a whirlwind of private chauffeurs, shopping sprees, and luxury dining. Her fiancé, Chuka, had fallen for her charm almost instantly when they met at a mutual friend's birthday dinner. What started as casual flirting quickly evolved into a lavish romance. Within a year, he'd proposed. Lara's friends were envious. She caught a billionaire without even trying, one of them had whispered. But Lara wasn't interested in fairy tales. She was focused. She believed she had earned every bit of her new life, and she wasn't about to let anyone, especially not some nosy old woman, ruin her image in public. That day, she was meeting her wedding planner at the cafe, finalizing details for a beach wedding in Zanzibar. She was running late and irritated. Her Louboutin heel had snapped earlier. Traffic was ridiculous. And the driver had forgotten her perfume in the car. As she waited by the cafe entrance, an elderly woman in a plain wrapper and faded slippers slowly approached her. "Excuse me, my daughter," the woman said in a raspy voice, her frail hands clutching a tattered handbag. "Please, I need a moment." Lara barely glanced at her. "I don't have any money, Mama. Please move aside. I'm not begging. I just want to." "Look, I said go." Lara snapped. The woman didn't budge. "Are you Lara?" Lara frowned. "How do you know my name?" "I just want to talk to you about." "Are you mad?" Lara's voice rose. "Do I know you? This is how you people move mad in Lagos, touching people you don't know, acting like you're sent from God. Please, if you don't want me to deal with you." She looked around. People were beginning to stare. "Please don't raise your voice," the old woman said softly. That was the final straw. Lara's pride couldn't take the public humiliation. Before anyone could blink, she raised her hand and slapped the old woman across the face. A sharp gasp rippled through the crowd. The woman staggered backward, touching her cheek, eyes wide with disbelief. But she didn't cry. She didn't curse. She just walked away. Lara straightened her blouse and scoffed, muttering under her breath, "Some people don't know their place." She turned, unaware that someone had been watching from across the road. Chuka. That night, she tried calling him. No answer. The next morning, he didn't respond to her texts. By evening, she was pacing the floor of her luxury apartment, confused and agitated. Finally, on the third day, she received a message: "Come to the family house. We need to talk." Lara dressed carefully. She wore a modest lace dress, tied her hair back, and picked up a cake from a premium bakery. She wanted to make a good impression. Chuka had told her many times that his mother was traditional and hard to please. That was why he hadn't introduced them yet. He wanted to wait until the wedding was near. Lara had been nervous about meeting her, but she was confident. After all, she had style, class, and grace. The family house in Ikoyi was a sprawling estate with security gates taller than most buildings. The guards recognized her immediately and ushered her in. As she walked into the living room, her steps slowed. Seated on a velvet armchair, with her cheek still slightly bruised, was the old woman she had slapped. Lara froze. The room spun. Chuka stood nearby, arms folded, eyes heavy with disappointment. "Mama, is this?" Lara's voice cracked. "My mother," Chuka said quietly. Lara dropped the cake. There was a long silence. She tried to speak. "I didn't know. I didn't mean." Chuka didn't move. "You didn't care." Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't introduce herself. "She didn't have to," Chuka interrupted. "Respect doesn't need an introduction." The words slapped harder than she ever could. His mother sat still, her eyes sorrowful, not vengeful. She didn't gloat. She didn't scream. She didn't even demand an apology. She just looked at Lara and said, "My son loved you. He saw kindness in you. I wanted to see it too." Lara dropped to her knees, sobbing. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I swear I didn't know." But the damage was done. The wedding was postponed indefinitely. Chuka asked for space. He said he needed time to think. Lara returned to her empty apartment, the silence louder than any slap. Weeks passed. She tried everything: flowers, messages, even recording a video apology and sending it to Chuka's sister. But the response remained the same: silence. In that silence, Lara began to reflect. She thought about the girl she used to be. Humble. Grateful. Soft-spoken. A girl who once gave her last N200 to an old man outside the mosque. Somewhere along the line, she had lost that girl. Her new life had come at a cost, not just money or pride, but character. She had let the glamour blur her values. Months later, she opened a foundation in her old neighborhood. One dedicated to teaching young women etiquette, emotional intelligence, and humility. She called it Grace First. And every month, without fail, she sent a handwritten letter to Chuka's mother, never asking for forgiveness, just expressing regret, growth, and gratitude. One rainy afternoon, nearly a year later, a letter came back. It was just one line. "True character is how you treat those who can do nothing for you. I see yours now." There was no promise of reconciliation. No hint that the wedding would happen. But there was peace. And for the first time in a long time, Lara smiled, not because she had gotten her billionaire back, but because she had found something far more valuable. Her humanity. The days after that letter felt different. Lara didn't rush to post it on social media or call her friends with updates. For the first time, she kept something meaningful to herself. That single sentence from Chuka's mother didn't promise a restored relationship, but it was the first sign of healing, not just between them, but within her. Lara continued with her foundation. She poured herself into its work. Every week, young girls gathered in the community hall to learn about self-worth, kindness, and dignity. She used her story, carefully edited to hide names, as a lesson in pride and its quiet destruction. Word spread. Media houses started noticing her transformation. What they once called a spoiled socialite turned disgrace now became a rising voice for women's reformation. The same tabloids that had ridiculed her after the slapping incident now invited her for interviews. But she declined them all. She wasn't doing it for image repair. She was doing it for herself. And then, one Sunday morning, as she was arranging chairs for a session, her phone rang. It was Chuka. She froze for a second, stared at the screen like it might disappear, then answered slowly. "Hello?" There was a long silence before his voice finally came. "I saw the video of you and the girls in Makoko." "Oh," she said nervously. "You saw that? You've changed." She didn't know what to say. "I don't know what the future holds for us," he continued, "but Mama asked to see you again. On her terms." Lara's heart raced. Is she okay? She's fine, Chuka replied. She just wants a conversation. Not about me. Just woman to woman. 3 days later, Lara stood once again at the Ikoyi estate gate, this time in a simple Ankara dress, holding a fruit basket instead of designer cakes. Mama was seated outside in the garden, under the mango tree. She didn't look angry. She looked curious. Lara greeted her, bowed deeply, and waited to be offered a seat. There was no tension in Mama's voice. Just clarity. I don't hate you, Lara, she began. I was once like you. Young, hungry, determined to rise. Lara blinked, surprised. But when pride is louder than humility, Mama continued, a woman may climb fast, but fall harder. I've learned that, Lara whispered. Too late, maybe. But I've learned. Mama nodded. My son loved you because he saw light in you. But even light must be handled gently, or it burns. I understand, Mama. Truly. There was a pause. Then Mama reached into her wrapper and pulled out a folded handkerchief. Inside it was a delicate gold bracelet. This was mine when I was your age, she said. Not as fancy as what you wear now. But it reminded me to be strong, yet soft. She handed it to Lara. Lara took it with trembling fingers. Thank you, she whispered, eyes brimming with tears. Mama smiled gently. This is not an invitation back into our lives. It is a seed. What grows from it is up to both of you. And just like that, she stood up, leaving Lara alone in the garden, holding a bracelet and a second chance. The bracelet stayed on Lara's wrist like a quiet reminder. It wasn't expensive. In fact, it looked fragile, worn with age and dulled by time, but to Lara, it meant everything. It was the closest thing to forgiveness she could hope for. That evening, as she sat on her balcony, she kept replaying Mama's words in her mind, this is not an invitation, it is a seed. What would grow from it? She didn't know. Chuka hadn't reached out again since that brief call. No texts. No hints. Just silence. And yet, for the first time, she was okay with not knowing. The next few weeks passed with slow peace. Lara stayed committed to her foundation, mentoring girls and helping them rise without losing their values. Her humility was no longer performative, it was rooted in awareness. She had tasted both power and disgrace and understood now that true elegance wasn't in wealth or appearance, but in character. Then, unexpectedly, it happened. She was walking out of a seminar at the Women's Leadership Forum in Abuja when someone called her name. She turned, and there he was. Chuka. Not in a suit. Not in expensive sunglasses. Just a simple shirt, trousers, and that familiar, quiet presence. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. He smiled faintly. I didn't come to cause a scene. I just wanted to see if the woman I loved still existed. I'm still me, she said softly. But I'm not the same. I know, he replied. I've been watching your journey, not as a test, but because I miss the Lara who once gave her last meal to a beggar. Her eyes glistened. They sat at a corner cafe nearby, sipping water, no pressure between them. No heavy expectations. Just conversation. Chuka leaned forward, his tone gentle. I won't lie, what happened hurt deeply. Not just because of Mama, but because I thought I knew who you were. When you slapped her. I slapped myself, Lara finished, eyes downcast. I lost myself. He nodded slowly. And now? Now, she whispered, I'm learning how to be someone I can live with, even if I don't have you. Chuka looked at her, silent for a moment. I'm not perfect either, he finally said. We all have blind spots. But I believe in second chances, when they're earned, not begged for. She looked up at him, her heart pounding. "Do you think there's hope for us?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled a small velvet pouch from his pocket and placed it gently on the table. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside was her engagement ring. The same one he had taken back. But this time, there was no grand speech. No kneeling. No audience. Just him. And her. And the chance to begin again, not from where they left off, but from where they truly saw each other for the first time. In life, the loudest voices are often the most fragile. We armor ourselves in pride to hide our insecurities, in wealth to mask our wounds, and in beauty to escape our brokenness. But sometimes, life strips all of that away to show us who we really are. Lara didn't lose everything when she slapped that woman. She found herself. And in that journey from disgrace to grace, she didn't just win back love. She reclaimed her soul.